Hi, welcome to Suplex the Sticks, a gaming podcast hosted by David and Seth.
Hello.
And Forrest.
Howdy.
Hooty. There we go. I was about to say Hooty.
Hooty and the Blowfish.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm the ghost of Christmas past on Halloween.
It's October
It is October.
4. It's October 4.
For who? For us.
For honor.
Oh. Is that game still going? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's one of Ubisoft, like For Honor and Siege are like still
kicking.
kicking.
Good for them.
And kicking hard. They're going.
Master Chief just got added to Siege.
What?
Yeah.
Don't know if I knew that. But that's definitely not Smash, so I don't know why.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Why is he showing up in all these places besides Smash, like Fortnite and Rainbow Six Siege?
Because...
You know, I actually thought of Master Chief the other day because we were when we saw the creator and they had those grenade guns that stuck to people, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a sticky detonator." I said, "That's a sticky grenade."
There was only 2 in that movie, and they were
well used.
Yeah, they were satisfying each time.
Yeah,
especially the second time.
Yeah. For sure.
You knew what happened before they did.
Yeah.
It's always a great moment as an audience to be like,
oh yeah, to be
I know more than you.
Yeah,
characters
to be
on screen.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they blow up.
So we didn't have it. We actually would have had an episode last week, but we just migrated podcast hosts. And turns out when you migrate your show, it uses up all the bandwidth that you have for the month. And so we had to take a week off. So we used all of that to bring all the old episodes into the new feed. So hopefully there's no interruptions. So if you want to listen to old episodes, they should still be there. Also, shout out to Google for killing Google Podcasts the week after I fought with them for 2 weeks to get our feed updated in their platform. That's all behind the scenes stuff, but I'm really bitter about it because I
wonder if the people you fought with had any idea that
that's what I want to know.
Their move was happening.
That's what I want. Like someone just be like, "Hey, they're killing this. Don't bother."
Yeah,
like you don't have to worry about it.
But they couldn't tell you that before it happened,
right? The other thing is we are now on Podbean, which is a podcast host. It shouldn't mean anything to you unless something goes terribly wrong. But the one good thing is that they actually upload our episodes to YouTube now. So now every time a new episode comes out, a YouTube video is created on our YouTube channel. You probably didn't know we had one because we don't really upload stuff to it. But now there will be videos of the episodes.
This will be the first one.
No, maybe. Second. Last week's or the last
last week's non-episode is on YouTube.
But it's just it's not physically us. It is a still art of our logo and a little wavelength thing that goes along with our voices.
But a lot of people like to listen to podcasts
listen to stuff on YouTube, and so we're there.
Thanks, Podbean.
Yeah, it's nice. It does it automatically. I don't have to.
Still not on Lima Bean yet.
No. But shout out to Podbean for being much cheaper than our other host, and also making videos for us, which our other host didn't do. So. Yeah. But let's talk about the games we've played, because I have definitely played a game.
Yes,
I played
David and I
46 hours of a game.
one singular game.
Technically, it's the second game I've beat this week. I beat Picross S9 finally. I finally got my way through that.
Game of the year?
No, well, it's always up there.
I mean, technically, I also got first in Tetris 99 with you sitting next to me. So
I guess you
you beat Tetris 99.
I got the Xenoblade 3 theme.
Yeah.
Which they finally did. an event for 2 years after the game came out.
Cool.
And I got it. And David was sitting next to me, and he got mad that I won.
Yeah.
And then he tried to win.
I got 7th, and I got mad and turned it off. So we both have played Lies of P,
Yes.
the Pinocchio Dark Souls, which famously, if you have listened to our show in the past, you'll remember there being a weird news segment where Seth brought up, because I remember when he brought it up, he goes, hey, did you see that there's going to be a Pinocchio Dark Souls? And that's
Yep.
basically when there's only a key art for it.
Yeah.
There wasn't even, and
It was the most bizarre thing when it was announced.
yeah, and it puts in perspective for me. I was thinking about this today, like how long we've been doing the show with the way that development cycles work and stuff. Like we were doing we started doing this show back before the Fortnite Battle Royale even happened. Like we were recording and talking
Yes.
about that initially happening.
I remember that.
And so, like, to think of all the games that have, like, had full development cycles inside how long we've been doing this show is crazy. And Lies of P made me think of that because we talked about, like, literally the key art was announced for it, and now we've played the whole game. I think it was in the episode title, too. I could go back and see how far long ago it was. Let me tell you. First off, I recently, before this, we talked about in the episode, I beat Final Fantasy 16. I felt every single hour of that video game in near excruciating detail. Regardless of how much I enjoyed some of those hours, but I felt every hour. I did not feel every hour with Lies of P. When I beat it and then I looked at the time and it said 46 hours, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, it is. It's only after playing a game that you really just enjoy playing for the sake of playing it that you are able to then compare to games that you were playing to get through them.
Yeah.
I think I probably have experienced the same thing with Starfield. It's funny, after we recorded the previous episode, I felt kind of bad because I felt like I was just sort of bashing on Starfield the whole time, and I kind of wish we had recorded earlier, like a week before, so I had been able to talk about the things that I was finding interesting about Starfield.
Right.
While I was in the midst of doing those things. And so I felt, because like I felt like I let myself down in my lack of ability to kind of articulate the good things without stressing the bad things. Earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, I found myself wishing that I hadn't played Starfield at all. I was just like, man, I've wasted all of that time playing that game, and I did not come away with a positive thinking. And so it's funny that you bring that up about Final Fantasy, because it's the same experience that I had with Starfield, and immediately going into this game, and it's like, ooh, I am enjoying every minute of playing this.
Yeah. Do you know what game actually I feel that way about? I don't know if I feel that aggressively about Final Fantasy 16. I think I am frustrated in where I ended up with it, but I wish I had never played Diablo 4. And I know this because I beat Lies of P yesterday around like 8. I think I messaged you around like 8:30 that I had finally beat it.
Yeah. And I beat it a scant few hours before that.
Yeah, while I was running.
I did. You told me to call you when I got to the end. So
I got spoiled on the ending, the post-credit scene, and I needed to hear Seth's reaction.
Bizarre thing that they add to the end of that game. It's like, huh.
So I was found last night. I booted up Fortnite and I played a couple rounds. I was like, man, I'm not feeling playing Fortnite right now. And then I was like, you know what? I am in like the last 2 acts of Diablo 4. And I booted up Diablo 4. And like after 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm I'm gonna uninstall this. I'm like, this is not good. Like, I'm like, this is bad. And it just was like, oh, it was a bummer. And then I was like, why did I? Because to get to Act 4 is a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I bother
a lot of
doing
game time
this?
getting there in a game like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had that. I actually had that sort of a thing.
Yeah. And
too.
luckily, Lies of P was not a game that either
No.
of us felt like that.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, you almost quit at one point, but
So we'll talk about that. I went through a mental and emotional breakdown.
yes, I never had such an. I definitely got up against a wall similarly to you did at one point, where I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Yes, so Lies of P is, we call it Pinocchio Dark Souls. And I think, so first of all, I think it's obviously an outrageous concept.
Oh yeah.
And it's two things that no one would ever think to put together, like chocolate and peanut butter, previous to the invention of Reese's.
Right.
And I don't. They definitely have to stretch the concept of Pinocchio a bit, not just a bit.
Boil it down to some base elements and
Yes,
kind
yes.
of build up a different style.
But
from
of course,
there.
we are talking about literary Pinocchio, not Disney Pinocchio.
Correct.
Although, of course, they're based on the same stuff, so you'll be able to find elements in there, which is kind of funny here and there to be like, it's weird that this horrible dark world is reminding me of a Disney movie. But it really, and there's in some ways that the world they created doesn't really make. There's some leaps in logic that you have to make. Not everything is really explained, especially kind of getting down to the end of it. Stuff is just sort of happening, and you're just like, okay, I'm willing to not need to have that lore that actually makes sense here.
Yeah, I agree with that. There is a lot in the texts that you pick up that I maybe also.
I mean, I read pretty much everything
Okay.
I picked up, and it's still kind of nebulous what actually was happening in that world. But I'm fine with that because we're in kind of a period where everyone is sort of getting on the bandwagon of making the From style game if they're making an action RPG. And there's good and bad ones.
Right.
A lot are in that middle area. Very few really come close to sort of replicating the feel of what From is able to do.
Yeah.
Like I obviously have talked about Neo 2 ad nauseum on this podcast,
Right.
and it is a game that doesn't really try to replicate the actual feel.
Right.
This game, it's remarkable how well put together and how much it does feel like it came straight out of From. So
Eerie on some levels.
yeah, like
Maybe Lost Club. I've been worried.
I don't think so. I doubt that they will. It is crazy because they really got so close, almost to the point where it's like I couldn't tell you individual specific things about one that I found lacking in the other. It just mechanically feels so up there with the different FromSoft Souls games.
And there is mechanically unique things.
Yeah,
in
for
this
sure.
game. Like the P org. Man, that's one of the most unfortunately named things in a video
the
game.
P organ.
The P organ. And the golden tree.
You gotta upgrade your P organ.
Yeah. And within
That's the main way you upgrade yourself is that P organ.
and each
And it is the thing that makes Pinocchio a real boy.
yes.
Like all of our P organs do.
Yeah. So essentially, with every upgrade, you're not only getting a new mechanic that you can choose, but you're also upgrading stat abilities or your damage in certain situations.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. The rather than having like a skill tree that branches out, there are like a finite amount of what are essentially upgrade points, and you have to group at the beginning. You have to group 2 to unlock a new skill, and it goes up to 3 and 4. And so, like, spending 1 skill point is not going to upgrade, like, give you a new skill. So it's interesting the way that it restricts you, but also at the same time, each time you upgrade toward a new skill, they also come with a little stat boost. So I thought it was an interesting
they
way
had to have tested the heck out of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I'm like experimenting with it, and I'm like, the amount of focus testing they had to do to see if people could even understand this is wild.
I think it's a neat system because it's not something that I think what I like is that it's not getting too deep into like the nitty gritty of building, and it does sort of it's interesting the idea that okay, to do this I'm going to lock myself out of, at least in the short term, working towards some other thing,
right?
So yeah, it's interesting. At some point in the game, you do get the ability to like reset those things, and I was always afraid to reset the P organ because it's not just about like the skills that you're choosing; it's also about the individual
exactly
stat increases. And I was like,
I never did it.
I was just scared because I was like, man, even if I want to change one thing, I'm afraid it's going to like have a cascading effect, and I won't be able to use certain things anymore.
The only thing I respect was my arms. That's the unique thing is that
I respect your arms too.
Thank you.
P's got a what does it call it? It's got
Legion arm.
The Legion arm.
Yeah,
because there are many of them.
Yeah.
I think that was the actual reason it's called the Legion arm.
I'm okay with that. I'm a sucker for that exact like thought process for naming something Legion.
It's just like I get it. The first time I figured it, I was like, oh, because it's like in a specific line that's in like an object that you can pick up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's fine, all right. But like if you didn't do that, it's like, why is this called this? And it's just this one thing that doesn't really have any connection to any of the rest of the text. It's sort of like, this is but it also doesn't matter.
I also have a lot of questions about that, lore-wise. Because at the end, it's Pinocchio. So you, for all intents and purposes, at the end of the game, become a real boy. And
maybe
you still have the arm that you can change.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
So are you an armless boy? Are you...
There's definitely some kind of importance to the arm that really isn't... it's not... Just like you pick up... early on in the game, the game's equivalent of Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
He's just a lantern, which I guess has a cricket-shaped puppet inside.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought I saw like
I just thought it was like a little AI
thing in there.
Well, that's what I thought. I remember reading another like thing that I picked up that explained what he was. And I don't know that you can ever really see him, but there is a tiny puppet in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I believe you.
In this world, all the robots are puppets.
Yes.
It becomes kind of ridiculous at some point that they're just robots. Like when we were at the very beginning of the game, you learn about the Grand Covenant, which is the rules that all puppets must follow.
iRobot.
And the three of us were in David's living room watching as he got to this opening, and we all at the same time were like, "Oh, it's just iRobot."
Yeah.
And so they go out of the way to not call it. I mean, maybe the word robot didn't exist. There wasn't a concept of it, but they're all puppets.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all a lot of the weird. But as I was saying, you get Jiminy early, and there's this line about how he's special, and you'll figure it out as you continue to work with him. And then you don't figure out anything about him. At the end of the game, even he's talking about stuff that seems to imply that he's done similar
Something.
things before or been in the same place, but you never know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say there are a lot of threads like that, but there are these little bits in here that you're like, what?
Yeah.
Wasn't something supposed to be explained to me? And some of that stuff never really comes to fruition. But none of that really makes the story any worse. I mean, the story is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, absurd. It's one of the best things.
Further and further it goes, it just becomes more and more ridiculous. So you wake up in a train, a blue magic butterfly has woken you up and it's like, hey, come to this hotel, we need your help. Like, you're very obviously a puppet. Well, not obviously. You've got the puppet arm, the rest of you looks human. Everyone says that you're a puppet, though. And you're in this world where this town called Krot, and you find out that there has been some sort of puppet frenzy. So all of the people in Krot have like puppets that do their work, and
Yeah.
who knows? There's very few actual other people in this game that you get to talk to about the way that the world works, or like prior to the frenzy. So there's just crazy puppets everywhere, and you're kind of sent out to, first of all, find Geppetto, who calls you his son, which is sort of weird because you're a puppet.
I don't think you're ever called Pinocchio in this game either.
No, your name is never spoken.
Yeah. You're P.
Yeah, you're just P, and that's only what we have been calling him because no one ever says Pinocchio. Although there is a book in the hotel that seems to imply
that Pinocchio as a story
that
exists.
The story of Pinocchio exists in this world, which is strange. I think it's just there as like a little fun bit of hinty, but it's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah. It's you go on many adventures. I don't want to spoil like too much insane stuff.
I mean, it is iRobot.
Yeah, it is iRobot.
This plot is essentially iRobot. That is sort of this whole thing about are the puppets, like, are they beings? Are they sentient? Do they have these rights? And then it kind of snowballs and takes this weird turn where zombies get involved, and you're like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, when the zombies got
and
involved.
And that stuff really is at the end of the game, it's kind of like, I'm still not sure what was going on.
So a lot of it has to do with that post-credit scene.
I guess.
Because
there's definitely... So it's part iRobot, and then it turns into being like Resident Evil. Village, where there are people doing weird experiments
on people,
and they do work in a fun way, but it's just these two halves of this really weird coin, but it worked for me. I was like, I enjoyed it. Even the zombies, it was kind of cool when they're first introduced, and they're like this completely different enemy type. You're like, what the heck is happening?
Because they're so much faster.
And they spit out blue goo.
So the boss I almost lost it on was the first 2-stage boss in the game.
Yes.
The Puppet King.
The King of Puppets. The King of Puppets. Apparently he is a... infamous wall for a lot of people in this game.
He seemed like it from what I saw of you playing.
Here's the most frustrating thing. My coworker Josh is an aficionado of Soulsborne games. He plays them all. Mm-hmm. He had no issue with. He has had like no issue with most of these bosses, so and it has been killing me.
It's interesting. To me, at some point, I had this like point where I was like, I don't think that this game is hard, but it's sort of a weird thing. Like, it would be hard to anyone who hasn't played games like this before, but it's not doing anything like super over the top in terms of like mechanics and stuff to make it more difficult. It does just come down to personal execution.
Yeah. Because I actually had little to no problem with Laxatia.
Yeah, like
That's the one you got like
yeah.
hard tripped up on.
There are a bunch of bosses that I feel like this happens in a lot of Souls games where you have a very hard time, and then when you finally beat them, you're like, oh, that was really easy.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think it's a lot more of a mental thing sometimes than it is the actual difficulty of the game.
Let me tell you, I fought the King of Puppets for maybe 4 hours in one night.
Mm-hmm.
That was, Forrest sat there through most of it.
Yes.
It broke me. I couldn't, I just like, I almost cried at one point. I was like, I could get within like 10% of his final health and then I would be done.
Yeah.
And
It was very rough to watch.
I tried everything. And then the next day I beat him on the first try.
Yeah.
That's how it is sometimes. You just gotta...
And
when you're hitting the wall like that,
I
you just
know.
gotta set it down.
But like,
And it's tough. It's tough to do that.
Yeah.
Especially when you are that close
Yeah.
to
But
getting
like,
him. You're like,
so-
I can do it again.
So I think what frustrates me the most is that at the end of the day with this game is that it was a mental check, not skill. Because when I was fighting Radon, so, like picking a hard boss from Elden Ring.
God.
So when I was
Yeah.
fighting Radon, every mistake on an execution level, I knew where I was messing up on an execution level. In this game, it's mental. Like it was all mental at that point. It was overwhelming. I couldn't figure it out, and there was one boss where execution wise I was messing up, and then I figured it out. And I was actually on the phone with Seth when that happened.
You were so confused. You absolutely could not figure out what was happening.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil the mechanic of that one.
It's a weird.
It's a weird
it's
mechanic.
a weird boss.
But like, I couldn't do it. Like it genuinely, I fought for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and nothing happened. And then I looked online and I noticed he was using the rapier, which is a faster stabbier, which built
You
up
got
the
that at the
guys-
beginning of the game.
Yeah. It's the beginning, and
Yeah,
so I used that, and then I beat him in 2 tries
Dang.
because it
Yeah.
on an execution level it built up his stagger meter faster, and the stagger meter is invisible in this game, which is fine. I'm not saying it needed to be visible, but like I wasn't, because what I usually play as, it wasn't building that meter up fast enough.
There's a lot of like invisible mechanics that I am not quite sure do anything. So there's like there's 3 different types of
like poise in Dark Souls.
Yeah, but in here I think it's nothing. It's not like a stat that you don't know what it does. It is.
It is frustrating that there is shock and electric shock.
Yes.
Because my
What is the
brain,
difference?
Well, electric shock is electric.
and then shock
And
is
shock
like,
is
Everything
like
else?
shock is like you are physically unable to move.
Oh, like going into shock.
Yeah, kinda.
Okay.
yes, but like
But they're just so close that there's an item that you can take to heal. There are 2 different items that you can take to heal status effects. One of them will heal shock and a handful of other ones. The other one will heal electric shock and a handful of other ones. And so I remember the first time I got shocked, I was like, oh, dang. And so I equipped something that I thought would make me stronger against shock, but it actually made me stronger against electric shock.
Yep, that's
And I was
what-
Oh my god.
What?
That's what kept
why are these so close together?
that's what kept happening to me against that boss, because also he does that to you, and I'm like, why is none of the items I'm using working?
Yeah, they're
why
not
is nothing
healing me.
helping me? Nothing is getting rid of this effect, and because when you're shocked, your stamina crawls back.
Yeah.
It like is horrible.
I will also say something I noticed about this game is that stamina recharges super quick compared to other games in the genre. I feel.
It depends. That's
It
stuff
does,
you,
but
that's stuff you
also
can-
like you are using it so much.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
using it
like
so
if you
fast.
are if you're not playing really fastidiously, you're going to like I found myself in positions all the time where I had no stamina.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is
I noticed that a
happening
lot
here?
when
I don't
watching
understand what I'm
both of you.
doing to lose so much stamina.
Yeah.
And especially because it does recharge really fast. And so it's times that you have to be playing, like you have to be not over dodging or not
Over committing to
right,
attacks
or
and
you
stuff
have
too.
to be.
It's easy to
blocking
overextend.
perfectly.
It's easy to overextend in this game.
Yeah, it's that is one of the things that was became frustrating multiple times. I think that specifically was one of the mechanics that I always found myself like butting up against with, and it never seemed like there was a way to sort of improve that. But again, it's one of those weird things that when you finally have that successful fight against a boss, you never have those issues. It's just like, oh, I just slid through here. Because like the final boss, David didn't fight it because he picked a different ending.
Oh.
But it was
Now,
like,
hold on. I don't know if you can call it the final boss. I think it is an optional endgame boss.
sure.
The
I guess so.
Did you get credits
It is-
after fighting that boss?
It is the final boss in the game.
for you.
I mean,
For
you
you.
could have fought it too, but you chose not to.
Well, it doesn't say if you make this choice, you're going to fight another boss or not.
Sure.
There could have been. They could have done a boss.
But also, like, after... it is optional, because even after starting to fight it, I had the option to do the other ending. And,
Oh, so it asked you every time?
well, no, there's, like, when you go into the menu at the star catchers, which are this game's bonfires, that one at the end, you can choose to bypass it. Which is kind of funny, because to have it always staring at you every time you open it up, when you're going up and continuing to die against this boss, is like, all I have to do is press this button and I don't have to fight it. But even that was one that, like, when I finally beat it, I sort of breezed through it in a way that did not appear to be possible when I was having issues with it. So even the stuff that was, like, at times I felt like, okay, maybe this game maybe feels unfair in certain ways. It's weird how those disappear when you actually do get through it. There was one boss that did trip me up like David with the Puppet King, and it was earlier in the game. It was a big dude with a big sword, and at points in the fight, he would, like, his one of his 3 siblings would jump in and join the fight, and that was like the first and I think only time in the game that I felt like mechanically, like, the design of this fight feels unfair to the player.
Yeah.
But, I eventually got through it. I don't think I ever had the kind of emotional scarring that David had on that.
Dude, it was rough. I was like, maybe I'm bad at this game. I was like, maybe I'm bad at this game and I don't know if if I'm having this hard of a time here. I did not have that hard of a time with another boss in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. I did think that boss was probably... I think the Puppet King is... At the time where it is, I think it is probably the hardest boss. Just based on, like, where it happens in the game and what your power level is.
Yes,
comparatively.
I agree with that. Laxasia, I can see how Laxasia causes an issue.
Well, honestly, that one, like, she didn't really give me that much trouble. It was sort of like I gave it a handful of tries, and I was like, I'm clearly not progressing on this fight. And then I set the game down for like 2 days. I was like, I don't really want to go back and do this right now. And then when I picked it up, it was super. It was another one that I cleared my mind, and it's weird how there is this thing, like, they say about crosswords, when you are stuck on them, to put them down, and the next time you pick it up, you'll, like, know, because your brain will keep working on the problems, like, in the background without you being conscious of it. There is this sort of weird similar thing here. I don't know that your brain exactly is churning on how to better fight it, but I think it's sort of more like purging all of the experiences of failure that you did, and to allow you to come to it clean, but still with the kind of added knowledge that you've built up of what the boss does, how you need to react to those, just without the baggage of like, oh, I've done this over and over and over, and I can't do it. That's why, you know, putting the controller down is the time-tested method of how to beat these games.
I had to do that with the Green Monster too.
Yeah,
but I didn't have a break in that. I just was like, it took 2 times of me fighting him. Like, I'm not in the right mental state to do this, and then I put it down, and I did it within like 3 tries the next day.
It is silly talking about it like because we build up like that these are these huge undertakings that you have to be mentally prepared. I mean, and because they are just like bosses in a video game, but it truly does it can affect you when you're doing it over and over and over.
Oh yeah,
especially after playing the game for a long stretch, because it's not like the game is a cakewalk all the time in between these big boss fights.
And it's not like Celeste, where like, or like game, another where it's like an immediate, where it's an immediate respawn.
When
and
you die to something and then it throws you way back down the road, then you have to slog back through a swamp to get back to where you were, just to throw yourself back into a pit of spikes.
And then like 2 hits in and you know the fight is done.
Yeah.
And that's like...
Yes, it definitely can...
It is
it can mentally take its toll. Just... And in the amount that you have to do only to immediately fail. It's like, why am I putting myself through? But I think to that point... I think the game does a good job of making your character, from the beginning, feel strong compared to the enemies around you.
Yeah. At least the normal enemies.
Yeah.
There's
definitely handfuls here and there that are like, okay, here's this unkillable monster that came out of nowhere that doesn't even have a name. It's just like a random enemy that has spawned.
The puppet clown.
Yeah. There's...
I will tell you that... Basically, after I got through past Laxatia, I did just run past everything.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just running to the end of the game.
Strategy.
I was like,
I killed everything.
Every time.
Yeah, I like every single mini boss,
and
every
I'm proud
single
of you.
optional enemy in the game. I was like, I can't just.
And I'm proud of you. Yeah. But once I beat Laxatia, I'm like, I'm just running to the end.
I get it. Yeah. And so
like
even at that point, you're so far from from the end of that area.
And there was enemies in there that I still feel were I don't know how you fought them.
There's a big jump in power of the enemies at the end of the game.
And then not only power, but the ones they throw at you in combination with each other.
Yeah.
They throw like 2 of the toughest mini bosses together against you at once in a foggy room. And it's
that
like,
was ridiculous.
And then I'm like, there's a ladder right over there. And I just
whoop, whoop. Fun thing about that area, I very specifically remember what it is. There's like at least 4 different enemies in there that in other areas of the game have been their own mini bosses. But of course, we have the competing factions of insane puppets and zombies. And so there's very few times, but there's one specific moment in the game earlier where you are attacked by a puppet, and then a bunch of zombies burst out of cages and start attacking that puppet as well. And you're like, oh, these enemies are not friendly with each other. So I was like, I have an idea. And I just got them to all kill each other. Like, I was able to move certain enemies to a certain place so that the other guys would come in. And so like, they fought each other. Because I... Like you, I was mentally like, I cannot deal with these guys. The other 2 types that I've fought them, they have been some of the worst experiences in the game to fight against.
Yeah.
And so I was just able to get them to beat each other up, and it was really fun to watch. And it was just this really cathartic moment of like,
I don't have to do this.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that was a good highlight right near the end of the game that I. Especially because it is, and the room is covered with fog, and like if you turn and these enemies just drop down from the ceiling. You're like, what the heck? Why is this here?
Yeah. The game gets really heavy with traps later on.
They crazy.
They start to have a lot more fun with traps.
Yes.
Which is rude.
Yep.
But it is what it is.
I mean, it's just like you expect to have in Dark Souls games. There are, you're going to walk into an ancient castle. It's going to have booby traps. There's going to be a floor panel that you step on that's going to shoot darts at you.
Or like a staircase with a boulder just rolling down it all.
There were some jump scares for boulders in this game, let me tell you.
There's a whole pinball boulder area.
Yes, no.
It was so weird. But I remember talking to David about this when it happened. It took me a long time into the game to find one of those traps that you step on.
He had gone to the last area and then finally stepped on a panel.
And I remember telling him, I was like, I just found I think the second time in the whole game that I've stepped on one of these traps because I was making the point of it's weird that this happened at once near the beginning and now it's so far ahead. It's happening again, and Dave was like, "What are you talking about? It happened all the time to me." I just somehow
I'm not
did not
surprised by
step
that.
on them.
I would say at this point you have very bad luck with stepping into traps in any video game that has them.
Yeah, I mean that was my entire Resident Evil 4 run. And there's also bear traps in this
one area in this game where there's just bear traps all over.
And I stepped in every single one of them every time I respawned.
I had that happen to me in a game that I started playing this week. I will get to.
Interestingly, in one of those areas where there are bear traps, there is also a bear enemy, and they don't do anything to them. It's like, why are you putting these here?
They do.
What a waste.
They do. They pop on him, but
but they don't stop him. They just
they slow him down
tiny
for
bits
3
of damage,
seconds.
and you're like, wait a minute, these are bear traps.
Yeah,
that's a bear. He very specifically was trapped in that area because of these bear traps, and now he's just walking through them and he's mowing me down.
Boo.
It was funny.
Annihilation looking bear.
Oh yeah, it's got the big old splayed open head.
Yeah, man. If you can't tell, this game is suplex certified.
Oh yeah,
I love
a lot
this
of fun
game.
playing this. For sure.
If every game could feel this way 45 hours in for me than the way this one did, and I can't even super tell you what worked. There's a lot of because at the end of the day, I don't love difficult things. I enjoy difficult things in some cases, and I know that one of my criticisms of Final Fantasy 16 is that they don't push back on you enough. But this level of difficulty, I cannot do this all the time, video game wise.
Absolutely. There was a point late in the game that I was like, man, this is kind of what sucks about these types of games.
Yeah.
That I'm so close to the end, but it feels so incredibly far away because of the difficulty that I am going to have to experience in these boss fights. It does sort of it can make the end of the game kind of a bummer, and take some of that excitement out of how fun it is to play. But I feel like I think the difficulty is in that right spot, and at some point it teeters into this sort of feeling like almost maybe it's too hard,
right?
But for me, there was it struck that perfect balance between the world feels really dangerous, and so you overcoming it feel really empowered. And how strong you
for
are.
sure. The other thing is I rescind my dismissiveness about this game because when I played the beta, I was just I was ready to not play this game again. I don't know if you guys remember, I talked about the demo briefly on the show because I got to where you leave the train station basically, and I was just you move too slow. It feels really sluggish.
Yeah.
And they changed that. They definitely upped the speed of how fast you move, and it's excellent. I was very wrong, and I'm glad I was.
Yeah.
I'm glad I decided to take a leap on it.
Yeah,
because I was gonna play Starfield, and then this came out, and then I was like, you know what, I gotta play this game. I gotta at least try it.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if I would have gone out of my way to get this game if it wasn't on Game Pass. Like, it's definitely a game that I would be like, man, if that's ever on sale, I'm definitely gonna pick it up. I think it's really cool that it came to Game Pass, and there was like a week where everyone was talking about it, and posting videos about it, because it's definitely visually like a really interesting game. But yeah, I agree. It's a really really fun time. If fun is the right word to use here.
There's definitely times where I was having a blast.
Yeah,
because the game does a good job of making you feel really awesome in some instances.
Yeah, and that's what, like, those moments are what are great about these types of games, and what it is when you're getting into them is sort of it. What you don't have, you have to build up to be able to achieve those feelings, and so it's kind of why a lot of people can. It can be tough for a lot of people to get into it, because you really do have to like get to a point where you understand the way the game works enough to be able to work within it.
Yeah.
I don't know how this game would be for a beginner, in like there are no Souls games that are friendly to.
I think it'd be
newcomers.
perfect, because the thing is, the one thing we didn't talk about is the Souls loss in this game. You lose.
Yeah.
You only lose half.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you lose when you lose them when you get hit, and they're out in the wild.
Yeah,
But-
it's really, until you learn the way that works, it's like, why am I constantly losing these?
But it's not a zero sum. Like, it's not a full loss.
That's definitely. I think that's a very helpful thing. Is that if you die twice, you're not losing all of that progress. It's you will still retain half of those resources, and they'll be in a place that's probably easier for you to get to.
And I also think the throwables are powerful enough that it really helps.
Yes,
even
you
like
can,
a beginner.
you can do a lot of damage against bosses just by throwing different items at them, which definitely helps in early in the game and even late in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I didn't really use throwables against Laxatia.
Yeah.
She was too fast to use them against.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I didn't use throwables against most of them. The one time I used throwables against Door Guardian, they were useless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to talk about that post-credit scene, but I don't want it to be spoiled. And people need to experience that for themselves.
I will say that I don't think it's this mind-blowing thing that the way you described it to me initially.
It was to me.
I mean, it is a thing that's like, what? why is that there? But it's not like this thing that totally changes.
So I think
Was
it's
it
because
Sora from Kingdom Hearts?
Oh man, you have it.
I have no idea.
Wish
How like
it is weirdly in that vein.
yeah.
But, in a
what?
strange way.
I think
Okay,
it's because
I'll
my.
ask you about this later.
I think it's because of my. I like the property. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is I really like what they're going for.
Yes. It is merely setting up the potential of a continuation of the story in a different literary world.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, wait. When it happens, you're like, why? What the heck? Why is that here? For me, it was more of an amusing thing than it was the kind of craziness that it was in David's brain when he learned about it.
But that my brain was going all of the ways that could go.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, definitely a good game.
But,
Verified good game. You heard it here first. No one else has said it yet, but Liza P. It's no lie that this game is pretty good.
I like it.
Yep. Mark it down.
I like it.
You can take that to the bank or online banking if you use it.
Forrest,
Suplex certified.
I've actually done a lot these past few weeks.
It's a miracle.
I know,
I'm
truly. It's genuinely shocking.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, truly.
Not electric shocked.
No.
No.
I can't move. So my Friday night game nights have switched over from mostly Halo to going back and playing older games.
Which is
more nostalgia ways. This is just to say, I'm not playing just Halo Infinite consistently anymore.
Insert an applause.
We talked about that. We talked about that. I talked about that at work today.
No, that I'm like the one person you know that plays Halo.
No,
Infinite.
it's that I was ready to hear you talk about Halo Infinite today.
Nah, I've got nothing for you on there.
Hey, I welcome it.
But I went back with my friends and played Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2. We tried out Payday 2 because the servers for Payday 3 were really crappy.
They were busted on opening day.
They're still busted.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah, which is why I have not gotten to play it yet.
I was talking to Chris and them last night while they were trying to play, and it is. They've also, I don't know if you've played Payday 3 yet, but
haven't gotten the chance to.
They have turned each of the missions into Destiny level raid experiences, which
that's interesting.
Apparently it is not fun at all because you also have to be stealthed the entire time.
Oh well, yeah,
and it is
you're
very
bringing me back in.
But it's very difficult to even stay stealthed.
Interesting to me.
But the important stuff here is that I played a lot of Sea of Stars. I think that game is longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yes, I experienced that moment at one point in the game because, like I said,
how long to beat has that? Like 25 hours.
Yeah, but it's less about how long the game actually is and how long the game seems like it's going to be up to a certain point.
Because like where I'm at in the game, like, is where if I didn't know any better, if I didn't know the time to beat, like time for the game, I would be like, oh, I'm about to go into the end of the game.
It is deceptive.
So
the size of it and like where like different story beats happen.
Yeah, I'm really loving it though.
Have you gotten the ship?
No.
Okay.
So I'm going into the Haunted Mansion right now.
So that's the beginning of the game is like decently linear in that you're working through an overworld map,
but it's very like point A to point B.
Right. It makes it look like it's going to be big, and then as you move, it's like, okay, this world is a bit smaller than I thought. But after the thing where you are, it does expand, and you get access to a boat. You know, as you do in
is it
many,
the Vespertine? Yeah. Oh my god!
As you do in many JRPGs, you get a boat and you are able to go around to different islands. And honestly, there's another moment after that point that I had another one of those spots. Was like, oh, I was expecting this game to be bigger, and it appears that I am reaching a climax, and then it opens up again.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so it's interesting the way that it is kind of it toys a bit with where you think the game is going.
Yeah, I'm loving that game so much though. I think it's not written like any other RPG that I played or paced like it either. Yeah. Like there's just like all the it's almost like a bunch of just side stories, but it's also very focused. I feel that it doesn't like dwell too long in one like plot beat or area before you can get on to the next thing. And I think the combat really is just the standout for this game.
Oh yeah,
I can't get enough of it.
It's really fun.
It's very rare that I utilize all mechanics in combat like that a game makes available to the player. But this game,
and they all and it's because they all work together like to improve each other.
Exactly, they feed into each other. Like you if you want to make this game boring for yourself, sure, you could just do a regular attack the whole time. But like the way that doing regular attacks and blocking attacks and doing your skills feeds into the combo meter, which feeds into like your like the types of attacks that you do and like the elemental attributes of your attacks, like it all feeds into each other, and it's crazy how like really how in depth it is. It's so accessible,
right? Like it feels like there's a lot of moving parts, but it all makes a kind of intuitive sense that you feel like, okay, I just at first blush sort of understand what is going on.
Yeah,
there are some things that you have to sort of figure out, like, oh, that charging that with the life mana only works on the first attack rather than on 2 attacks, which is maybe one thing that because the game has a timed hit system like the Mario RPG games did, and so when you are using a certain power, like it would, if you do a timed hit, you would sort of intuitively think, oh, well, so the power applies to both of those hits.
No,
but it doesn't.
You'd have to get 2 of those power things to
and
make
so,
it apply.
And
to
that was the one thing that I had to wrap my brain around early in the game.
I forget it constantly. Yeah. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get this guy down so he doesn't cast a spell.
Like it's going to expand for you even more because of characters that you meet that join
new party
your team,
members
that add different elements.
Yes.
Like one of the coolest things about it is the way that the enemies will have like charge attacks and like it'll tell you, okay, this attack is happening in this many turns.
Yeah. Here's what you need to hit it with.
Yeah, you need to hit it with these specific types of attacks, and if you do all of those, it
cancels it.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah,
it's super neat.
It's really fun, and it constantly has you thinking, okay,
and strategizing.
Right, I need to use this move or this move,
and like
need to use this party member here.
Yeah.
It's a very good battle system for sure, and it is. It elevates the game to a level where it would not
have otherwise reached with.
Right, it would feel just like any other
standard.
Yeah, like any other kind of Game Boy Advance RPG.
Yeah.
But it does, I think, having that battle system really brings the game up to a whole higher level, which is fun.
Yeah. Super good. I genuinely have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, it's a very good game.
Good.
Yeah. And then because it is October, I've decided to partake my own spooky month game. And I've started Alan Wake.
Ooh.
And
the perfect spooky month game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually
to get ready for the sequel, which will be my spooky month game.
Even though it comes
Alan
out at
Wake
the end
2.
of spooky month.
It comes out like in 2 weeks.
That's the end of spooky month.
Yeah, it's the end of spooky month, dude.
Nah, man, it comes out like the.
I thought it came out like the
middle of it.
28th or something like that.
Nah, man.
Dang. Well, I haven't updated my calendar for
What
release
will my
stuff.
spooky game be?
It'll be Alan Wake 2.
Sure.
It'll be Spider-Man.
But
2.
I might also play that one game with the
You should play-
teens dying.
The Quarry?
Yeah, the Quarry.
Oh,
I think I
gosh,
might play
yeah.
the Quarry.
I was gonna say you should play Signalis.
Could do
Just because
that.
I want more
Could-
people to
could
play
do
that game and talk about it with. But yeah, I've started playing Alan Wake. I'm really liking it a lot. At least
Well, yeah,
story.
it's a nearly perfect game.
So here's the thing. I think story-wise, it's great. I have problems
And
with
gameplay-wise, it's even better.
no, I have
you have
problems
a
with it.
flashlight? That's
Oh.
great.
You see, I like that. I like that a lot. What I don't like, it mainly centers around the dodging mechanic, and how you can still get stun locked and crap. It's stupid, frustrating sometimes.
Oh yes,
and-
it's definitely a game that feels like the time it came out.
Yes,
in.
so that's what I was gonna get at is that part.
Wait,
of
are you playing the HD remaster?
Yeah, the remaster.
Okay.
And parts of it still feel very dated, but only for the combat, really. Like, the flashlight thing is super cool, but if you run out of ammo and you can't find any more because it's hidden in some freaking corner that you're not bothering to look because the enemies run faster than you, you can't outrun them. You can only slightly delay them with the flashlight. which doesn't actually do damage to them, which like would be maybe a little bit of a help. Or if there was like a melee you could do.
This all sounds good.
These are just small little things that have kind of bundled up together to a larger frustration for me.
I definitely am excited to see in what ways the combat changes and in what ways it stays the same.
I hope it doesn't.
Because I remember when they first showed in like the previews that yes, there's a flashlight and darkness monsters. I was like, oh god,
here we go again.
Oh yes, again.
But that's kind of the thing that set it apart, though. Initially,
it's unique. It's fun.
Yeah, and I love that I don't know like what's real or what's not for this world of Alan's. Super into the idea of it all.
Yeah, there's definitely heavy vibes going on. You're like, this is cool.
Yeah,
this is very cool.
Super rad stuff. So I wouldn't say I'm like breezing through it, but I played it for like a solid.
That game is deceptively long.
Yeah, I played it for a solid like 3 hours. I got through the first 2 chapters of it, which I know there's like 10 or 11, something like that.
I don't think there is. I think there's like 6, but
some are a lot.
Some are way longer than the other ones.
That's what I.
And some are a lot less fun than others.
Yeah,
I believe it.
But still great. It doesn't matter about fun. It matters about if it's great.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
I the other day on Twitter saw that I guess Sam Lake sat down with people from IGN and they're like, "Can you explain the plot up to the beginning of Alan Wake 2 in 5 minutes?" And he was like,
said,
5
"No."
minutes? I'll try. And it was like 15 minutes long, but
God.
I watched it and it because he goes into like the DLC stuff and and how it tendrils out into Control, and I was listening there grinning and I thought it was great, but it was just like this. You really like think about what he's saying. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
This is a perfect.
This
is a perfect example for what I was saying last episode about my high tolerance for things in video games.
Stupid stuff. Yeah. High concept, stupid stuff.
And even this one, even that one was like, but I am all in.
Yeah.
I gotta say, in this video, he did not explain how it is an ocean instead of a lake.
We'll figure it out. We're going to learn.
Well, because he's Sam Lake, not Sam Ocean.
That's true. But it's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Is Quantum Break going to tie into this at all?
It's a different...
But Sean Ashmore is in the game. Did you know that?
No.
He's playing a character in Alan Wake 2.
I mean, who knows? The guy, the FBI agent looking for Alan Wake in Alan Wake 2 is the character that Alan Wake wrote in his books.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was in the TV show that was in Max Payne.
So who freaking knows?
You know. It's all connected.
Anything is possible, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to, though, because I think you're able to find those connections between all those games except for Quantum Break. I don't think it has really had any Easter eggs.
It's the black sheep of the Remedy family.
Yeah.
Sad.
But hey, maybe he'll break time and show up.
Yeah, maybe Alan Break.
Alan Break.
Quantum Break.
Alan Quantum Break. Wait,
he's going to break his way into
Quantum
the shadow
Lake.
place. Man,
yeah, maybe that'll be the connector.
I can't wait because you know, there's going to be a moment in Alan Wake 2 where Jesse Faden shows up in the distance, and I'm going to be like, let's go. I'm going to be screaming at my TV. That's my sicko moment, as I'm like in the window.
Oh, what a fun time this spooky month has in store for us.
Man,
sir.
I was talking with Josh about it at work earlier, and he's like, so do you think like Lies of P might be your favorite game of the year or your best game of the year? And I'm like, I don't know, like Zelda. Zelda is definitely going to be it. And then I was like looking at what's coming out. I'm like, man, like Alan Wake 2's got a really good chance of.
Yes, there's stuff coming up that you're going to be like,
I Spider-Man has the opportunity. I have worries about it.
Yeah.
If it's just going to be too much of the same, we'll see. Because that Miles DLC was long enough that it did like fill a need for kind of a second one, and was unique enough. And I'm not as interested in Peter stuff right now.
Wow, just like me when reading comics.
I think we forget how good the Peter stuff was in the first Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's good, but I like Miles more as a character.
I'm gonna say it,
and you can use him.
I'm gonna say it straight up. They killed my passion for the Peter stuff when they changed that character model.
Yes,
and I am highly disinterested.
It's tough, but don't
I think
tell,
I've stopped
what's his
caring
name
about that at this point.
Yuri, Yuri Lowenthal. He's not about it. He wants people to get over it.
I know.
I just don't care
We
about
forgive
it
you,
anymore.
Yuri.
I like you, Yuri. You're great, but
Yuri.
I hate it.
Yes, it's
I
definitely.
can't get over it.
It's a downgrade in face.
But yeah,
He's a butterface.
it is what it is. I still have a visceral memory of booting up the Miles game for the first time, and
you
and
can't
then when
escape
he
it.
Yes,
when
you
he
see
took
his-
when he
you see
takes
it
the
real
mask
early.
off. He takes the mask off, and I'm like, no. I was like, that's not my Spider-Man.
That's when you just get a printout of the old face and just plaster it on the
Stick it on the
TV.
TV.
I need
wherever
to play
he
it on
is.
PC and get a
Just
mod.
mod it in, yeah.
But yeah, we got a lot coming in for Spooky Month.
Yeah.
I was gonna play something else, and then I was like, I don't like 2's coming, so
Yep.
I can't not play that.
Yep.
I would like to play that on release.
Yeah, you should.
That's my goal.
I
would like
hope you
to
do it.
also.
I'm bringing my. I'm not gonna bring my PS5 with me, but I'll bring my controller with me and try and play it on the trip that I'm going on next week. Try to.
Alan Wake 1?
Yeah.
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 Smart.
That's an easy
Are you
game
going
to stream.
to Bright Falls?
Ooh.
Are you traveling to Bright Falls?
Is that in Tennessee?
Probably in Washington.
Yeah, Bright Falls.
I would
is in
think so.
Washington.
Yeah. Then no, I'm not going to Bright Falls.
Well, if you find any mysterious cabins on a lake, go
Or-
in.
Or Nordic.
Especially
Viking
if I'm
bands.
with my significant other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
She might die, but
No, she might disappear.
yeah.
Well,
And
she'll
you'll wake up a week later being like, what the?
What happened? And
What
then be
what
told
the
that there
hell?
was no cabin on that lake.
All right.
Is that the lake that's actually an ocean?
I don't know.
You'll
That's
find
the
out.
implication.
Sam Lake doesn't know either.
The implication. All right. Well, we're going to be back after this break with the news. I don't know how much time we'll spend on the news, but there will be news. We'll be right back.
Hi, Big Joe here, and I'm here to tell you to check out Suplex the Sticks on all social media platforms at Suplex the Sticks. Links for the socials and the invite to our Discord are in the show notes below. Subscribe and review the show on your favorite podcatcher, and while you're at it, let your friends know about the podcast. It's the best way to help us grow our community. And with that, back to the show.
And we're back. All right, let's talk about some news. Seth, if I was to tell you that they were adding more horror icons to Mortal Kombat 1, which ones do you think they would be adding?
Well, I would hope it would be Malignant.
Oh my
Ooh,
god, that
I
would be
hope.
so good.
I would hope it would be Malignant, too.
okay.
Other
It's
than
not
that,
Malignant.
I don't know. The Pope's Exorcist.
Also good.
Hilarious
The
movie, by the
Nun?
way.
What if I
no.
was to tell you one is
Chucky.
Ghostface?
Okay.
Not Ghostface Killer, but Ghostface.
I mean, Ghostface is fun. There's two of him.
and then oddly enough, the
Spoiler.
other one that's being teased is John Jigsaw Kramer.
The old man who died
Not the
who
puppet.
died of cancer.
I mean, I guess it could be the puppet, but it would have to be a life
I
size.
feel like it would be the puppet.
I mean,
I hope it's the puppet on the bicycle
Yeah.
with the bicycle intact.
yeah.
Who knows?
I
They
just
would-
think
That's a
everyone in
weird
Mortal
thing.
Kombat is too similarly heighted, so I think it should be the puppet. So
I
we have a
think-
smaller character.
Yeah, like the little dino guy from Tekken. Or,
I think
what
if
was it?
anything, they
Gone?
should add Jigsaw in
thought that was Killer
this
Instinct.
weird sort of new fatality called Jigsawalities. And you put
where it's a very long cutscene of them
where you
having to
put
play a
them
game.
into a game.
And trying to
Yeah,
self-reflect and be like, why am I here? What
Yeah,
have I
what-
done
what have
wrong?
Yeah.
Or he goes,
And then
do you
they
want to
pat-
play a game? And up on the screen it goes Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah. Or Catan. Or like another board game.
Scrabble.
But I mean, it's interesting, but I don't think the game will be creative enough to.
Why
pay
is it
off
always
his
horror
character.
icons?
Because who else is going to be in Mortal Kombat?
I don't know.
I mean, you only really have two avenues. You got action movie stuff or horror movie
Yeah, they've already said they're doing Peacemaker, Omni-Man, and
Homelander.
Snooze.
Homelander. Which really they're the same
Yeah,
character.
the same
Yeah.
character.
I don't know how they said they're going to be
Except
different.
Omni-Man's better.
Well, yeah, Omni-Man's way better. Homelander sucks. So is Omni-Man, but at least he's not a white nationalist coded guy.
Yeah.
He kind of is. Never mind. It's
Yeah. That's
alien.
that's another discussion
yeah.
about imperialism and whatnot.
Right, but yeah,
Peacemaker's not that great either. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Sure, but I think he fits well.
he's
into
on the mend. So
But it really is. It's either we got comic characters, we got horror characters, or action movie characters.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to throw Matilda into here.
I mean, it'd be cool.
It would be
but
cool.
you don't want to see Matilda get fatality. That's
No.
the problem.
right,
Yeah.
Godzilla? That'd be a good one.
yeah. Put in
Jet
some
Jaguar?
Ooh.
put in some weird animal characters, like Godzilla.
Put in Gamera. Screw Godzilla. Put in Gamera. I say someone who loves Godzilla.
Put in Clovey from Cloverfield.
Well, I don't know if
Put
Clovey
in-
is humanoid enough.
Put in Iris from Gamera 3, which is just an Evangelion creature.
Or put in Evangelion.
Yeah, put
Honestly,
in Eva
One.
Put in Eva 1.
Put in a.
Oh my god, I would buy Mortal Kombat 1 so fast. I would buy it so fast.
I bet it would be tough to get the rights for that.
And I'd yell, "Get in the robot, Shinji." It would be great. And I'd push my glasses up.
Or
It'd be-
guess we could get a different robot. Put in the Megazord.
Yeah. Man.
Art to Fatality, a big robot.
Give us another Power Rangers fighting game.
Yeah.
Like on the Sega and the Super Nintendo.
But
I mean,
not
there
like
have been
Battle
other
for the
ones.
Grid.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
But not like Battle for
Put
the
in
Grid.
Ivan Ooze.
No, that game's bad.
Bring back Ivan Ooze
Yeah.
for Mortal Kombat 1 and nothing else.
So, never mind. We don't need to go down this road.
Yoshimitsu. He's in a lot of fighting games.
Yeah.
Put him in there.
There was a new season of Power Rangers, and I'm 90% sure Zed said something very similar to what Ivan Ooze said when he got freed.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Ivan Ooze coded.
Did he say Zed's not dead, baby?
No, he didn't. He said some
He could
other
have,
things.
though.
He did become Super Zed.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Which is really
Zed.
cool.
Which is like
Is
Super
his brain
Shredder.
still exposed? Put in Super Shredder. They've put in...
Yeah, they had the TMNT and Injustice
and
too.
Injustice. Why not put in Shredder?
Ooh, Shredder would be cool.
Krang.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Bebop.
I
Rocksteady.
would like for them to put in Abe Sapien because they had Hellboy and Injustice 2. Put my boy Abe in Mortal Kombat.
Or Abe from Oddworld.
Blade. Put in Blade.
Oh my god,
He fit.
that would be so good.
But we're trying to go off...
Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but these are... Again,
Yeah, I mean,
we're
here-
in comic world. We're trying to go off...
No, David's onto something here. There needs to be more Swamp Thing
Creature from the
representation.
Black
There
Lagoon.
we go. That's
Yeah.
where I was thinking.
Tarzan. Things that are filmed in Silver Springs.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going off of now.
King Kong. That wasn't Silver Springs.
No. Shout out to the Pizza Hut that doesn't exist anymore that had pictures from all those movies. Man.
What?
It's the way it
Oh
should
my
have been from the
God.
beginning.
Forrest had a,
The one on-
just had a brain
Oh my
blast
god,
like
they
Jimmy Neutron.
did.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
KFC now.
I'm sad now.
But
there are no standalone Pizza Huts left.
Yeah, there is. There's one.
Yeah, but you can't eat in there.
What?
There's no more of the iconic.
There's
Pizza
no
Hut
like
buildings.
buffet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
This is
All
the
right,
true
Pizza
collapse
Hut.
of society.
We could go to Bellevue. The one in Bellevue still has
true.
the lunch buffet.
Yes.
We should do it.
I did a lot of band fundraisers.
Shout
there.
out to Pizza Hut Corner. So we talked about the Payday 3 issues. We've now talked about Mortal Kombat 1, a game none of us are going to play.
It's true.
No.
Unless unless
they put in Swamp
Godzilla
Thing.
Yeah, if they
or
put
Gamera.
in Eva 01, I'm in.
or Matilda.
Or Matilda.
She does have telekinesis, so
yeah.
she could stand up to him.
Guys, I don't
She's
know
Annie
how
DeVito from
I don't know how to
Matilda.
break this to you. I do feel bad that people have lost their jobs. But the Last of Us multiplayer game seems like it's not coming out.
That is true.
Bungie came in basic, so I've heard
What?
more about it.
Yeah.
I've heard more about it since. Bungie came in basically and was like, this is not a releasable game. And it's basically on ice.
Wow.
I
Like-
thought they brought, didn't they bring them in to make it into a game that is releasable? And they were just like,
This is
Well, I mean, Bungie's working on Marathon right now. I think they'd rather work on their own stuff than
Well, but
what
they were
Daddy
helping.
Sony says.
but they were helping.
yeah. I don't think they're gonna pay Bungie to bring him in and then just be like, let's take the money and run. So this is
Because
bad.
what's happening is that the Last of Us people are spending all of their time to make it like a quadruple A, like multiplayer game, and then they're like, the return. There's no return here for this. There's no return. What are you doing? And now it's done.
Yes,
That's-
well, we're
not
coming.
done, but-
We're coming off a week in which many big games companies have had very large
Oh, or
layoffs.
shuttering. It's rough.
Yeah, and
Bang?
games are being pulled out of the release schedule. We saw it with-
Entirely.
yeah,
Sega's game
Hyenas.
Yep.
which
Completely
was revealed
canned.
the other day. I don't know if you guys saw this as the highest budget Sega game to ever exist, and
Yep.
they've been
That's
working.
not a good sign.
They have been working on it for
specifically from
6.
Sega.
They've been working on it for 6 years, and they just canned it.
Yep,
I
they laid off everyone who was working on it.
I like Sega a lot. They do not need to be spending so much money. It's
That's
the
probably what
Dreamcast
that's probably what they
problem
will
all
learn
over
from
again.
this, is not to spend that much money.
Yeah.
Right. Epic laid off upwards of close to 900 people.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. Probably mostly because the extensive legal battle with Apple, and also the money they're having to pay for
EGS exclusives.
it's the money they're having to pay because of the Dark Patterns lawsuit. Basically, everyone that bought a skin within a certain time frame, because Epic was accused of using dark patterns, which is a way to trick people into buying stuff.
What?
You can get a refund. You can just get a
Interesting.
full refund. And there's other things. Obviously, that is not a good justification, because Epic makes money hand over fist on Fortnite.
Yes.
But that
Billions of dollars.
right, and none of this, nothing is happening to Tim Sweeney's paycheck in all of this.
Yep.
It's just the people under him that are now being spun off into different companies or sold
or just shuttered.
shuttered.
It's tough, especially with Epic. It's almost hard.
It's bonkers.
It's amazing that Tim Sweeney, the CEO, could say with a straight face to his employees that, on the memo he sent out, was that they are spending more money and have been for a long time that they are bringing in, which is just, it's hard to.
I don't think that's true for Fortnite.
Right, it's hard
Like
it's hard to square that with the reality of how big their platform is.
Right.
And again, of course, he is excluding himself from this, even though
that's the other thing.
A lot of those expenses are for him or because of him.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. I think a lot of what we're seeing is like games getting canceled that were pushed into development because of like trends.
That's the other thing that's hurting Epic is they were going to do also a big stupid, try not to curse, metaverse type thing. And
yes,
sure, they dumped a ton of money into that too.
But it does seem like a lot of companies they've been like, all right, we're trying to find this next thing in this up and coming genre that everyone is making games for. And by the time the games come out or are slated to come out, people are no longer playing those games, or they're realizing that there isn't really money to be made with this model.
And that was the problem with Hyenas.
Yeah.
Is that they were like, oh,
no one's
because
we're going to put this out and no one's going
years.
to play it.
Yeah.
And we're not going to make money off of it. And again, that's probably a game that no one... I can't imagine someone was banging the table saying, I have this idea for this game that we have to make.
Yeah.
This is probably... And it's interesting that is happening to the company who... Like, the creation of Sonic was as a result of executives saying, we need someone to rival Mario, rather than a developer saying, hey, I have this idea.
Yeah.
It's like coming from top down rather than organically as a mandate for something they need to do. And of course, that's just speculation. Maybe, I'm sure there were people in the dev team of Hyenas who were excited about what they were doing, but it just seems like we are seeing a lot of big developers making these kinds of projects and then shuttering them really quickly because no one played them. And it's like, how much money and how much time does it take to spin up and then these things that are kind of DOA when they are launched. And it's probably happened forever, but I think that with the proliferation of all these, like, I mean, it's all kind of centered around Fortnite with how huge it became. Everyone is trying to sort of find the next thing that they will just be able to make infinite money off of.
And that's kind of not viable.
Right.
Like, that's not a viable course for any...
Because there's saturation. There's saturation points. No curve is forever upward.
No, right.
That's not how it works.
And Fortnite is the outlier. Like, no one is going to make another one. There will eventually probably be another huge game like that, but it's not going to exist concurrent with Fortnite at any point. But yeah, it's a weird... it's one of those things that seems like common sense. Like, how are we gonna... Like, the layman would think, oh, well, of course you're not going to be able to replicate Fortnite. Why are you trying? Why don't you do something else? But, the people want... They want to find that easy money.
Yeah. It's hard.
And the easiest thing, I get it. Like, it's basically free money if you have a platform that you can just release skins on, and people will continue to pay for that stuff without you having to really put a whole lot more detail into it.
Or effort. It could just be different colors.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is.
It's unfortunate, and my heart goes out to all those people who are now jobless, with kind of, with Epic at least they've said that they are they're getting 6 months of pay and health insurance, which is good.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
actually.
I don't think we've seen details from any of the other things, but I've also seen like small studios have been closing because
the people that developed Boomerang X
they decided to go their separate ways after they couldn't get funding for a new game,
which is wild because people loved Boomerang X. I never got to play it. I wanted to, and it's still going to be playable.
Sure,
but that was just a game I I always wanted to try, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a bummer. I think it's always sad to see like a small studio shutter, especially after what was a well-received game.
Right.
Yeah.
When you have huge people like the Embracer Group buying up studios left and right.
And buying Lord of the Rings.
Doing nothing with them, and then having to close those studios. It's like all this money is flowing in kind of the wrong places for the wrong reasons. I'm sure the companies that are being bought are good they're glad for the influx of cash, and it also it sucks for them to be able to get all of this money, and you're like, okay, we can sort of expand what we want the range of what we want to do, and then just have nothing come from it, and all of a sudden find out that your company no longer exists. It all sucks.
Yeah. I agree. We have the Batman Arkham Trilogy got delayed to December 1st. That was coming out in 2 weeks.
That must be a broken game.
For the Switch.
I mean, one of my friends made a joke to me, I think yesterday, about this. He was like, oh, hey, people that were asking for an Xbox 360 and PS3 version of Arkham Knight will finally get it.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's dumb.
Another game that was canceled probably was the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. That was famously announced as a Sony exclusive.
Yes, that was a real hype trailer.
Yeah, and now
no gameplay, and it probably had very little work done on it. But now it appears to be gone.
The first pass on it was, I think, I can't remember what studio, and then Aspire. And then Aspire did a pass on it, and eventually they just were like, this isn't really going to be doable, I don't think. That's been a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And so it seems like it's just kind of been like shelved indefinitely.
It's also got me thinking about, oh God, what is that studio that did Detroit Quantum Dreams?
Yes.
Quantic Dreams.
They had, Star Wars Eclipse, I think it was?
That's still slated.
They are still
slated. Haven't heard anything about it in a hot
that game is probably like 4 years out.
No, it's it's like 2027.
Yeah. Like this thing about KOTOR got me thinking about that and how we haven't heard from it
because
in a while.
that game is supposedly, if you listen to what people are saying internally, it is going to be an action adventure game, which they have never made an action adventure game.
Yeah, that's not their wheelhouse.
So they
I'm not saying they can't do it, but it is weird that
it's like Guerrilla Games making Horizon.
Yeah.
So like
it's going to take a little
bit
bit
how to make
exactly. That's going to make it take longer.
Whoever it was who made a cool guitar guy game. I can't remember the name of it.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush. Yes.
Tango game.
Yes.
So.
Am I wrong? He's a cool guitar guy.
He is a cool guitar guy.
He's a cool guitar.
And that was a cool game.
He just hits people with the guitar rather than play it.
Yeah.
But he's learning.
Different uses for different things.
Yeah.
He probably can play his guitar, but
he's learning at the end of the game. You can see he's learning.
Stardew Valley is getting another big update. So for Stardew Valley heads up,
I'm kind of shocked by this because I thought the guy who's developing this was just working on a new game.
Yeah, he stopped. He's paused.
He's done
working on Haunted Chocolatier to work on this.
He was struck by inspiration and was like, I'm going to make this.
And it's a lot.
I can't blame him.
It's a lot. They're adding a new festival, new mini festivals, new over hundreds of lines of new dialogue, new options for if you decide to be a corpo piece of garbage.
My girlfriend loves this game. She will love to hear about this.
8-player co-op on PC.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's wild. You can do 4-player on console now, but yeah.
When are we getting Stardew Valley 99?
Ooh, yeah. I want that. But yeah, Stardew Valley is great. The
You all
he
go
said
down
there's
into
no
the mines together
there's
and just
no
battle
update.
it out.
There's no update on when it's coming, but it is.
Of course there isn't.
He's working on it.
Yeah.
Man. He's busy.
Well,
man.
listen, that's how this guy works.
Yeah.
There's really no release date for anything.
It comes out when it comes out.
Exactly.
And you like it, so you better play it. Jim Ryan left Sony.
Yeah.
Goodbye,
Willingly.
Jim. You
He decided
have
to
all
leave.
of our ear pictures, like the there was that weird thing with the ear pictures and all the stuff that
No
Jim
idea what
Ryan.
you're talking about.
He it was about the ear modeling and stuff. There was one of the like tech showcases where they talked about that. He had a lot of weird choices and things in his tenure, and but
I mean, he was there for a long time,
yeah,
and no one can argue that the PlayStation has been successful under his watch.
yeah, it's been successful.
He may hate old games, but he did a good job.
He never had the gravitas of Sean Layden,
Yes.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
Who is comical.
Yeah.
But
Good for him.
liking and caring about these CEOs is hard.
Right. We don't really care.
But
unless it's
Phil,
Nintendo.
you try to like Phil. I kind of like Phil. He's kind of a turd, but he's
the
at
only
least-
reason we think about them is because they put themselves in front of cameras.
Yeah.
And Phil really puts himself out there.
Right.
So's Doug Bowser.
But he's not a CEO.
But he's not CEO. Is he not CEO of Nintendo of America?
I thought he was.
That's true, but
He took over for Reggie.
But he doesn't put himself in front of the camera all that much. Like he has here and there.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much always they've got the same like team of developers of Japanese developers who do
Oh,
Who
yeah.
do the
Nintendo
face
Directs
work
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even Shintaro Furukawa he was kind of built up as the next hotshot CEO there. I guess they're presidents rather than
Yeah.
CEOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Presidents. That's what.
But
it
he's
is.
also not like. It's gone are the days of Satoru Iwata and then Reggie, who were
Powerhouse,
always
dude.
in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Man.
So that's why we don't really think about them, and that's why we know about Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan because they're putting themselves in front of cameras. Like we wouldn't care who these people are if they weren't the ones delivering our sweet news to us.
Now, the reason I do care about Phil, at least, is he has come out and said that he would like for there to be a Mech Assault revival.
Oh my god.
And
I think that he
Assault-
says a lot of stuff about games that he would like to play. It's like, okay, dude, you
You
probably
can make
have
it
the most
happen.
power of anyone to get these games up and running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
at least get the older
So
versions on
don't
Game
tell me
Pass.
that you want this to happen. Go throw your money around, please.
Because Mech Assault 1 and 2 are phenomenal. At least in my memory, I'm going to believe they are still phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel about the Mech Warriors games, which is a similar.
I would
Similar
much
thing.
prefer him to. I much prefer the Nintendo thing of when they ask higher ups about about potential games coming back. They're always like, no, we don't have any plans. It's like, don't get my hopes up.
Yeah, I did get really excited for a Phantom Dust sequel that never came.
Yeah.
And I love Phantom Dust. Man,
It's too bad that game died.
I know. Because it's perfect. You still should play it.
I played
It's
bits
on
of it.
there.
Because it's a card game.
Yeah, I know. I played it.
It's a
I didn't
it's a
play through
3D arena card fighting game, and it's great. 10 out of 10 video game with an insane story.
Yep.
But yeah, and we have the last news story, which is Final Fantasy VII on Twitter keeps dropping factoids that cause the fan base to explode.
Yeah.
This is true.
On a daily basis, really.
Yeah, they already did the. Which one did they do before this one that caused an issue?
I don't know.
There was one.
It all melds together.
And then this one is where they
Yeah.
announced the correct pronunciation of
Kate
Sith
Sith in this game is going to be pronounced as Kate Sith.
Yeah.
It looks like Kate Sith. I'm pretty sure anyone in America who ever played the originals called it Kate Sith. And I guess some people are mad because... I don't know if they're mad, but there are a lot of people... The way it is spelled is like... It's like in Irish or Gaelic folklore or something. It's a creature. But it's pronounced Ketchi because of crazy Gaelic languages in their pronunciations.
Right.
And in the original Japanese, it was closer. It was like the phonetic spelling of it is like Ketoshi. But they are instead like they've decided, okay, it's Kate Sith. I do wonder what it will sound like in the Japanese version. I wonder if they'll stick with their own pronunciation
That is
in
curious.
Japanese, or if they will.
Well, have they stuck with Eris or?
No, it never was Eris.
Yeah,
It's always Aerith.
yeah.
Anytime it's been voiced, it's been Aerith.
Okay, I thought they had not a weird thing, but I just thought they pronounced it slightly different in Japanese.
Well,
which made it.
There was the spelling error.
Well, look here. There is no TH.
Yeah, exactly.
In Japanese.
Yeah.
So that came down to a spelling decision by the localization team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be argued that it is either, but I think the fact that they have always put it as Aerith, it's different. Spelling is different than it's a different issue than here, where it's always been spelled this way,
right.
And people have argued about how it's pronounced.
For a while, yeah. I think one of the things was that Red 13 was going to be a fully playable party member this time around, but Vincent will not be.
Yes. He'll be an assist, kind of like Red 13 was.
In the previous one, yeah.
Now, so, Kate Sith she's going to be a character, right?
They haven't said anything.
I haven't said. They just post vaguely.
You see in the trailer,
because I thought I remember seeing Kate Sith in one of the battles.
You do, but you don't really see their name.
Yeah,
but you see...
could be a summon.
I was going to say Yuna, but that is Final Fantasy X.
Now that would be big news.
You see Yuffie and Red 13.
Yuffie?
Yuffie?
Yuffie.
I'm tired. It is 11:54.
You played enough Kingdom Hearts.
I had a lot of issues today in our Discord where people were deciding to slander one of my favorite video games of all time.
Final Fantasy VIII.
Final Fantasy X, the game that saved
they were coming for both of you today.
The game that saved the Final Fantasy franchise in the West. Literally one of the best-selling PlayStation 2 games of all time. First PlayStation 2 game to sell 2 million and 4 million copies.
And it doesn't mean it can't be bad.
And
I'm not saying it is.
You're right.
I'm just glad
it can't be bad. It's phenomenal. You're correct. I mean, literally the first Final Fantasy game to inspire a sequel that was in the same universe. Great game. I do believe X2 was before Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus.
It was.
Yeah. So
I'm just trying to think of like if
X2,
some of the earlier
which revolutionized Final Fantasy battle system with the dress spheres, maybe one of the best battle systems in Final Fantasy ever.
You're right about the sequel thing because 4 didn't get the after years, I think, until like the PSP or like the Wii era.
It's the first Final Fantasy to sell that way. It sold 8 million units. That's crazy.
Well, first it was 2 million, now it's 4 million, now it's 8 million. Which is it?
Well,
million.
no, it was
million.
It was
Next
the
you're going to
first.
tell me it's 32 million.
It was the first PS2 game.
It's 64 million.
Stop. It was the first PS2 game.
Stop, he says.
It was the first PS2 game to get 2 million copies, and the first PS2 game to get 4 million copies. So it's the fastest selling in those two instances. In total, by the end of its run, it sold 8 million units on PS2. That's not counting the re-remaster.
When we count those, we are up to 128 million.
And rightfully so, the best-selling game of all time, Final Fantasy X. You're right. I'm gonna run with it.
I'm just glad that people in the Discord today didn't come for Final Fantasy 9.
Well,
Because nobody ever
'cause
thinks about that
Zidane
game.
That's the problem.
No one
That
thinks
is the
about
problem.
it.
No one
It's-
thinks about it.
That's
so
why I'm safe.
There's never any danger of backlash coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, Final Fantasy VII causing divisions in their own fan base and trying to crack
Once
that foundation.
again. Yeah.
And of course, it's Kate Sith, that trickster.
Yeah, and you know what? They're looking for it. They want that ice to be nice and cracked,
Yeah.
so that when
Maybe
they
even
bust
melt it a
through it,
little.
when they bust through it come February by changing the lore entirely, we're splintered into a million pieces.
Oh boy.
And then Nomura is gonna heal all of us with Kingdom Hearts 4.
Zeta
And this is without you guys in Final Fantasy Ever Crisis. They added a chapter that has new Sephiroth
for young
background
Sephiroth.
information.
I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I had
but
to delete that game off of my phone
because it costs
Every
like
time
15 gigabytes.
Every time I opened it, it was like, "Here's 3 new gigs you have to download," and I'm like, "I cannot do this."
I just keep
anymore.
doing the minimum download, which is like not even.
It's still a lot.
It's
It's
still
like
one-
it's like
When-
0.4
When the new
megabytes every
chapter
time I
came out,
open
there
it
was
up.
like a 4 gigabyte download.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I don't really have anything else on my phone, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For me, man,
Meanwhile, I have Jade Empire. I got to have room for
Oh
that.
my god!
I think it will be insane if any of this stuff in this shows up in.
It has to. It's
But
lore.
I want it to, because they're outside of young Sephiroth. There is a team of 3 soldiers that you play as, and they're a lot of fun. I think.
Is this
I think
as-
Forrest, you especially will like.
Oh, yeah.
It's the beefy leader who punches stuff but is dumb, and then the 2 smart,
Right.
the 2
Straight to
smart
my heart.
sidekicks. He's a lot of fun.
Is this better or worse than the first soldier?
I don't know. It's
The
called the
BR.
First Soldier.
No, the BR. The
I
Battle
know,
Royale.
but they have the same name, and it's very confusing.
No.
Maybe this is the lore behind the Battle
I think
Royale.
it might be.
I
I don't know. I love
it.
that Battle Royale, and I still, man, it would be so cool if they put it into the gold saucer. It won't happen, but
Yeah,
Oh,
that would be
man.
the coolest thing ever.
but all right. Was there any other news from you guys?
No.
No.
Oh, it's not really news. I forgot to mention it earlier though. I played Trombone Champ. That game
That's
is
big news.
it honestly the biggest news. That game is a blast. So stupid.
Yeah, I,
I
gotta
love
get
it.
eventually.
I
I wonder if Megalovania's on it.
Not that I saw, but I didn't go through the
think
whole
that
track
was
list.
probably a mod that I
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are a lot of
but I tried
user created ones on PC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried 2-player mode for it today with my friend at work. A stupid good time.
I feel like playing it with the motion controls, the Joy-Con, has to be a lot more fun than playing it with the mouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
for
It's
sure.
just my gut
I was
feeling.
literally having
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do this like the whole time. It was so stupid.
Is there a mode where you can pull it back and forth?
Yeah,
like an actual trombone.
Yeah, but you can only do it with one of the Joy-Cons because the IR camera.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trombone champ.
That makes me think. I wanna get a Mario Party night in soon.
Yeah.
Talking about moving the Joy Cons in weird ways. It's in my heart. I want to do it.
Or everybody want to switch horse.
don't
two
have
horse.
that. I don't
I'm
have
good.
that. Don't plan on getting it. If anything, we could pivot to. I forgot that I bought this game entirely, but Wii Sports or Switch Sports. I bought
I'm
that.
good.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather just crack open a Wii.
Well,
For Wii
I'd rather
Sports.
play Switch Sports. I bought it. I would like to play it.
You know, I have
Just trade it in like you do with every other game.
No, I play the new ones. That's what matters.
You know, when I'm trying to think of a funny way to put crack open a Wii and pee organ together in a sentence.
All right, and on that note, we are happy you listened to us, and we hope you keep doing so. Share us with your friends, and we will talk at you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I've got nothing. See ya.
Pee organ.